What's up, everybody? Good afternoon to all of my next level chasers. No Chris today, but we do have Trey joining me to continue our amazing conversation from last week. Trey, thank you for filling in for Chris. Chris, prayers to what you got going. We're here with you, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, man. As always, I'm excited for what you guys are doing, and it's like 2 weeks in a row. I feel like a regular now. I was on last week, and
Yeah,
now I get to be on with you
you
this
might
week
as
and
well be. We are
holding
repping
down the fort.
the beta brand. Come on, man. You got to be regular on.
That's right. We're formulating the Beta Podcast Network. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, just happy to be filling in for Chris. I know he's ministering to some friends and just helping them through a tough time, and so happy to be able to fill in for him today.
Hey, well, thank you, man. So, again, everybody, what's next podcast? We're here really to talk about what's next. We really just want to talk about taking that journey, going on that journey of doing your own thing. Me and Trey talked last week about him going into teaching. Then ended up going from that to sales, which it seems like sales is just like that muddy pool that is like if you like that adventure of kind of just the free will to do your thing, it kind of gets those creative juices going, and then the next thing you know, you want to do your own and create your own dreams and chase your own goals, and so then Trey took that journey, and we really just want to continue to talk about that. So Trey, I guess what is next? So 5 years, where do you see Beta? What is the goal? What's the vision?
Man, I'll tell you, that's a good question. I don't know that I can even think that far ahead right now. I know that it's important to have long-term goals, but we're kind of in the weeds right now, figuring out who we're going to be, kind of getting our legs under us. I kind of think of us like, have you ever seen a horse that's born, and they're on the ground, then they get up and they're kind of
Stumbling.
wobbly and they're figuring things out. It's kind of where I feel like we are. We're kind of wobbly, figuring some stuff out, getting our footing, getting where we want to go. But I certainly know some of the things that I want to do. Whether or not that's where we actually go or not, we'll see. I mean, I definitely want to do more speaking opportunities and have more influence. I'd love to, see who the podcast guests are going to be in 5 years. I tell people this all the time. I don't know where some of these things are headed, but I can't wait to find out. And the one quote that I don't know who to attribute this to, but there's the quote that says, the person that loves walking will go farther than the person who loves the destinations. When you love the process, the goals just get hit. You just keep hitting goals because you love the process. It's like Kobe Bryant. Certainly he was working towards things, but he loved the process of getting better. And so all-stars happened, championships happened, scoring titles happened. He probably wasn't going for a scoring title, but knowing that he was getting better offensively and he's working on his craft and his moves, he just naturally started to win scoring titles. Like, the person who loves the process will hit the goals that the person who only loves the goal might hit. You're going to hit a lot more. And so I try to think through that. I love podcasting. I love communicating. I love helping companies with brand. I love helping companies strategize their, around that, helping them create a mission and vision and core values and how to actually use that. I love all that. I have no idea where it's going to go. Just to be honest, to say in 3 years we'll be here and 5 years we'll be here,
Yeah.
we're trying to get to our first million in revenue. All right. So some people are like, hey, we're going to get to 500 million this year, or we're going to hit 325 million in revenue this year. I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah. We're hoping to get to 1 million by the end of next year. Like, that's our goal. That's one of our targets. But at the same time, that may come in 18 months. That may come in 5 months. I don't know, but we're going to work really hard. We're going to treat our clients well. We're going to do everything with excellence, and we're going to see where that road takes us. And it's an interesting idea because you're not, it's like, the vision that we have is about what's going to become of this, not necessarily a destination that we're going to reach.
Yes.
And so that's kind of a different take on it. So I don't know where we're going to be in 3 years or 5 years, but I'm hoping that it's much more podcasting. I'm hoping that it's more speaking engagements. I'm hoping that there are brands out there who have become well-known household brands because they worked with us. And those are the things we're working towards.
I love it. I love it, man. And yes, it is a journey. And I think that quote you mentioned about enjoying the walk versus the destination, I think that's what I realized with doing all of the crazy adventures I've done with all the different businesses and journeys I've been on. And it's not really, once you realize that the things or the destination or the whatever the next goal is, once you realize it's not that for certain people, for those that I'm sure are watching this or doing their own thing or chasing their own dream or really just thinking of what's next. It's not. It's never the journey that brings the happy, or it's never the destination that brings the happiness. It's always like what you go through and what you learn in that. That has literally been like the driver for me to just want more and more and more. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and there's too many people out there in the world that have all the money in the world, have all the material success in the world that aren't happy. There's just too
yeah,
many of them. Like to
yes,
go, that cannot be the goal. Like, why do I want to hit 1 million in revenue? Well, it means that I've been able to successfully help a lot of companies, and I've been able to
exactly.
successfully help a lot of team members get their dreams like that. And, I'm in the business of helping my team members, my colleagues reach their dreams. Well, that's going to take some money. So it's not about, getting to 1 million or 2 million or 5 million so that I can do the X or Y or Z. It means we've been successful. It means that companies have trusted us, and it means that our team members have benefited greatly. And I'm excited about that. It's funny. We've been bringing on new clients, and we've been able to pay people more money, some slightly bigger checks for some people. Like that's been really cool to see. These kind of bonuses and things like that. Like it's cool to see that, and when you start to see that, it just makes you want to do more of that.
Oh,
That's exciting, to be able to help my team members get some of the things they want in life.
I'm so glad you said that. One thing, Simon Sinek said it. I know you're a big Simon Sinek guy. Waiting to drop this on you. I knew there was going to be an opportunity, so I was holding it. But he really said that, it's you cannot get that amazing feeling of fulfillment, of that different feeling of, like you're saying, of helping that company who has the same dream, same idea, wants to get to that next level, or even just start that business and get to their first million, like you're saying, and with your help, with Beta's help, get there. And from the million is nothing compared to, like you mentioned, the giving of and helping somebody. The feeling you get from that is like, yes, I want more, I want more. And once and once you realize that, and I love that always from coaching. I think and I think you coached as well, right, Trey?
I've coached a lot. Yeah, I
Yeah,
coached
so
high school basketball and
coaching
golf.
is
And,
the
yeah,
giving of knowledge to especially younger people, of like, look, I know older adults, my seniors, my people around me tried to give me all kinds of advice. Don't do this, don't do that, do this. I didn't listen, and so they're not going to listen. But to be able to try to just give them some of that guidance, so that they maybe don't make some of the same crazy mistakes, is there's nothing better. So
yeah. Well, and the truth is, like, coaching and helping people out, a lot of times it's legacy building. And what they
yes.
say about legacy is that legacy is like planting a tree in a garden that you never get to see.
Mm,
You're planting a seed. You're making an investment that might not cash in for years, but you know it will eventually. And when it does, those people look back and go, "Wow, I'm so appreciative of that." I mean, I look back at my high school basketball coach, my college basketball coach, both of which have passed away, both of which were instrumental in me becoming who I am. My high school and college golf coaches and certain people along the way that have poured into me, and the return wasn't right away, but the return has come, or it's going to come. And I feel the same way with the team. Like, I want to plant those seeds in their garden that's going to grow something really beautiful someday for them with what they want. I may or may not be around to see it. I don't know, but that's my job, is to help them build
yeah.
that.
Amen. Amen. It's all about team. In the end, it's our team around us. Our network is really where our strength will come from.
Yeah,
Uh, Life is literally, once you figure out life is a journey and it's a battle of you against you. And the people around you are the support to help you fight against yourself. Really, really to fight against this.
yeah,
It's insane. But
yeah.
speaking of people around you, you have already created such an amazing team around you. Uh, Talk about that. Like, how did you? What do you think has helped to bring those people to you? I know my opinion, and I'll tell you after. But
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the story is, in March of this year, I went to a conference, to a men's conference, and that conference was awesome. Tim Tebow spoke. The mascot of the Kansas City Chiefs, Casey Wolf, his name is Dan Mears. He's been there for 32 years. He spoke, very mission-oriented guy, and it was a Christian conference. Encouraging men to be Christian men, to be godly, to be generous, to be just great lovers and endure, and just all these great messages. But I remember I left that conference just feeling like God through His Holy Spirit was saying to me, "This company needs to be about me. You need to honor and glorify me. Not you. Like just be bold, be courageous, don't be afraid."
Yes.
And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? What do we do? What are we going to do? Well, the first thing we did was I came home immediately and I rewrote my mission statement for our company. And our mission statement is to glorify God and make much of Him while helping each client build their brand. Very simple. Two things. We want God to be honored. We want brands to be built because we understand the value of a brand. A brand is a reputation. The Bible says that your name is worth more than silver and gold. And I believe that for companies too. The brand is everything. Brand is worth more than your revenue. And if you don't believe me, do something to your brand and see what happens to your revenue. That happens all the time.
Great point. Also to that, to branding and how powerful branding is. I mean, Les Brown says some great things about branding, but he talks about brand. Simon Sinek talks about branding and talks about tattoos. You see somebody with a Harley tattoo. You don't see somebody with a Kleenex tattoo on it. Because
hopefully you're not wearing a Kleenex tattoo.
Although listen, maybe there is. So maybe I said a wrong one. But anyways, it's because it's more than just it's
right. It's a cult. It's a group. It's a community. There's a message behind it. There's something meaningful about it, and so that's what we want to do. But I got the reason I tell you that story is because the moment that I turned beta into something that God can use, it's the moment that the most amazing people started coming into my life that I can't take credit for. Like I really can't. I'm so thankful for everyone on our team, David and Morgan, who I've known since she was 8, and she's now on the team. And then Chris, who I really didn't know except on Facebook because I knew his wife from back when she was a youth, when I was a youth pastor, and got to know him. And then, Ruth, who came our way. And then we met Nathan and got to work with him. And then, you and I met, and then you and Chris met, and those things started to happen. And, Nate Schutz and Hayden Allred and just so many incredible people. The entire street crew, Scott Watanabe, there's just so many incredible people around my life right now. I mean, that's the true blessing. So when you think about, hey, you want to honor God and He'll bless you, man, I mean, financially, that's going to be great someday. If we make more money, that's fine. But the people that are in my life right now, I'm absolutely blown away by who they are. And we talked about this a little bit on, back in the green room before we jumped on here today. Yeah. Like that's really important who's around you. And what we tend to do as people is we tend to continually put ourselves around people that are familiar and comfortable, even if it's negative. Yes. Like I grew up with my dad who was very manipulative. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, I mean, I love my dad. He did the best he could, but he was manipulative. He was kind of a toxic, masculine, alpha male kind of, personality. It made him a great coach. He was a phenomenal coach because he cared about the kids, but he was like a leader. He was very aggressive and those kind of things. And in some areas of life, that can be a real positive thing. But I grew up with that. And so what I realized is that for many, many years, I've been putting myself around similar type men because that's what I'm comfortable with. Right. And it's about breaking that cycle a little bit of saying, why do I keep doing that? It's almost like a man or a woman who keeps getting into an abusive relationship. Why do they keep getting into another abusive relationship? Well, it's because it's what they know. Even if they don't like it, it's what they know. Sometimes the devil is better than the one you don't. And so what I've been working really hard to do is to make sure I put myself around people who are great people, who are we have similar values. We are in it for each other. Those ride or die kind of people who are in it for each other, where I want to see Chris's band do really well. I told Chris, I'm like, you need to record an album. He's like, I'm working on it. I'm like, yeah, do it, man. Record that album because your voice is amazing. Yes. I want him to win whatever that looks like. Well, yeah, he should do it. If he's listening, he should do it. Yeah, you should do it, Chris. But it's like, I want these people to win in life, whatever that looks like for them. And I want people in my life who want to see me win in life, and that we're helping each other out. And it's mutually beneficial. When you're in a relationship where it's only one way, it's miserable. It's miserable. But I noticed that I kept doing that because it was what was comfortable. So it was about learning how to evaluate people learning how to understand who I am and overcoming some of those maybe fears that I have of
Yeah.
whether it be confrontation or not pleasing people, because I'm a people pleaser. That's kind of something I've struggled with, is just being too willing to please people. So
Yes, sir.
it's just figuring those things out. And then what I've noticed is that as I have taken that to the Lord, as I've just given that up and said, God, I'm just going to follow you. I'm going to try to bless you. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to try to bless you in whatever way I can and just let you work. It's been amazing to see these incredible people come into my life. And again, I'm so thankful, DJ. I can't even explain it. Just so thankful.
Ah, man. I think Ryan, if we could throw that comment back up after, I think that, and Bill, thank you for that. But your tribe affects your vibe 100.
I like
Yes,
that.
I
That's good,
love
Ryan.
that.
That's a
That
great
is,
quote.
it really is. I mean, if you have the right people around you, and I'm
Yeah.
all about vibes. So Ryan, we're there. But yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Your tribe absolutely affects your vibe. Now you talked about fear. I want to get into that because
Yeah.
as a kid, I was scared of everything. I mean, so I was the oldest. I was the older brother, oldest of four. I had a brother just under me, 17 months, and then another brother. And our youngest brother was always the most craziest, bravest, and maybe he just had that alpha that you're talking in him, like your dad, or maybe he was just braver because he's the younger one and he knew he had us. I don't know what it was, but I was scared of everything, so I made him go first. And then I realized with sales, like I couldn't do that. But I
Yeah.
also realized, like you're talking about, the leaders, the top sales guys were always that alpha. They were always that. There's something different that I just wasn't, but I wanted to be. And so I tried to be something different and fit inside that what I thought that top salesperson box was, until I realized like I can't. And even if I try, like it doesn't work. I just have to be me. And so I think we're alike with that. But where I'm going with that is Les Brown says this quote, and I hit you with this last week. I'm going to hit you with it again. Hopefully everybody listening is listening to this. But Les Brown says a quote that he believes, and I believe the same. We are all born unique, but most of us die copies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that to me, I didn't realize that was something in me that was just in my core that I couldn't be like everybody else around me. For whatever reason, I had to just, and I was never one of those that outwardly like wore black or did crazy things to really stick out, but I just always never wanted to follow what everybody else did and thought there was always more. And that's where you talked about last week, and it hit me. Like it hit me when you said, I felt like I was trapped. I felt like there's more, but I'm stuck teaching. And it's just I knew there's more. And then you took that leap. You had your wife behind
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
good support team. But what do you think? How what advice would you give to somebody to like overcome that fear? I mean, I
Yeah.
now am not afraid of anything. I think
Yeah.
because I failed so much. But so what would you
Well,
say?
I wouldn't say I'm not afraid of anything. I still struggle with it. It's like, sometimes it kind of comes back up and gets you and you have to push it back down. This is where,
Yeah,
there's a part
true.
of the Bible that says you got to take every thought captive and make it obedience to Christ. And Christ is not somebody that gives us fear. Right.
Mm,
And so when you think about, when you feel fear, you got to recognize it, got to
yes.
acknowledge it, and then you got to think through how you're going to deal with it. And when I think of fear, let me give you a quick story. My oldest daughter, my two daughters have the same kind of dynamic that you and your brother had. My youngest, she'd try anything. My oldest is afraid to try. But if my youngest does it, then my oldest might do it, kind of thing.
Might do it.
That's the
Yeah.
dynamic, right? But
Yep.
my oldest, she's 14, and she volunteered. She was asked and she agreed to help lead worship at chapel for her school. She's a ninth grader. It's K
Okay.
through 9. She's one of the oldest kids. She's a phenomenal singer. Like we do voice lessons with her, and her voice is just beautiful. Like it's
I've seen her
amazing,
videos. She is
her
very
voice.
good.
And so thank you. And so we've been given these lessons and just hoping that maybe one day she might want to use it like on stage or something like that. Well, she agreed to lead worship at with a group, not by herself, but lead worship at chapel. And we were talking through it. She was really nervous the night before. She couldn't sleep. She was just kind of afraid. And we talked through, and I kind of gave her some of my tips because I lead worship and I love being on stage. So I was like, hey, listen, just make eye contact with the crowd, smile at them. They'll smile back. They're not going to, these are friendly people. And I said, don't sway too much. Don't feel like you have to, like kind of keep check on your body motions and your nerves, what your hands are doing. and then just enjoy the moment and sing, right, and have fun. So I'm giving her these tips. She finally went to sleep, and I don't know how well she slept that night. But anyway, she gets up the next morning and she goes and she did it. And I went and I watched her. I videotaped it. She did so well. She did so good. And then after school, I said, "Hey, what was that like? How did that feel?" And she goes, "Oh, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be." And it reminded me that fear is always greater up here than out here. It's always greater inside than it is outside. And again, if we can remember that yeah, I'm afraid in this moment. I've got some fear I'm feeling, but it's probably worse up here than it actually is. It's like when you jump off a diving board or a cliff, and like a 20-foot jump into a lake from a cliff, or something like that, where it feels like it's going to be really scary. But then you do it and you're like, well, that wasn't so bad, and then you go up to the next one, right, and try that one. So I think the more that we can remember that fear is always worse up here than it is in reality, and to not to disregard fear. Fear is a good emotion. It keeps us safe. Sometimes it's legitimate. Sometimes you should be afraid, legitimately, and you should act accordingly. But a lot of times we allow fear to be distorted in other ways that it doesn't belong. And when you recognize that and you acknowledge it, man, I'm afraid right now, especially if you tell somebody and you can kind of work your way through it. But then most importantly, as we talked last week, is just remember that it's a lot easier to act your way into feeling good about something than it is to feel your way into acting. And so take the next step of whatever that is. Do whatever it is. So my daughter, for example, for her, just going that next morning, not calling in sick, not saying I can't do it, but just getting up there, getting the microphone, trying it out. That was the next step for her, And so whatever that next step is, it's so critical to take it and to not let fear deter you from that. I'll tell you this, in life, in general, in life, you don't regret the things that you do. You regret the things that you don't do. And a lot of times we don't do things in life just out of fear. I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid, or what are people going to think, or whatever. And the more we can just get rid of that, take that thought captive and then act instead of just letting that dictate our behavior, I think it really helps out a lot.
I love that. Yes, I agree completely. And I swear there's a great quote, one of the great quote about fear. Most problems or fears, troubles only happen in our mind. It really does. And I love that your daughter just went up and did it and said, like, it was not as scary, because it really isn't. But you brought up a great point about when you do feel that, and the awareness. You do have to be aware. I think that's the biggest key. Being self-aware of your feelings and what you're feeling at every moment. Really, the power you get from that.
It's funny. That's actually the Mamba mentality. I remember hearing Kobe Bryant talk about that. About you need to accept and acknowledge all the emotions that you're feeling. Don't deny them, don't hide them, don't think that they're inappropriate or that they're causing you to be weak. It's not the emotion or the feeling that's causing you to be weak. It's what you're doing with it in your mind.
Yes.
Right. And so you acknowledge it. This is what it is. I'm a little concerned right now. I'm afraid, or I'm unsure, or whatever. And then how do you overcome that? What do you need to do to overcome that? Is what's important. So, that's just, I think, really critical that we understand the power of our mind, and how it can betray us, or how we can, it can control us or we can control it. And it's one or the other. It's not, it's not like neutral. Like, it's either controlling you or you're controlling it.
That's it. And in the end, it's us. And that's what I'm saying. It's us against us, guys. You against you. You against you. That's why I say feed the good wolf. I mean, literally, bad wolf, good wolf. I
heard this also one time, and I thought this was cool too. The moment that something is the most scary is the moment that you should jump in.
Yes.
And you should do it.
Yeah.
Because that's when things happen. I love what Ryan just said. Fear is awesome. To be honest, it pushes us to be a better version of ourselves. I think if you harness it in the right direction, that is so true. That is so true, Ryan. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Now, one more quote to really, so obviously Beta, all about branding, about building your brand. You heard the mission statement, guys. Brand and it's marketing. And so Gary Vee said something, and I was like, wow, yes, that is on the money. He said, marketing is a conversation about ambition. And I was like, ooh, that's so good, because he talks a lot about confusing marketing with sales. And people go with building a sales team before they really go all in on marketing, because they don't see the value that comes from marketing.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that it's something over time of building a brand. So it's something that is a process. And, those who don't have those big, crazy, want to be the next Pepsi, Pepsi, how much do they use on marketing? Obviously, and he talks about in this video, TV wise, Procter and Gamble, they were the largest TV commercial when it was just TV. Go figure. Amazon was the largest Google ad marketer. Go figure. Again, you gotta go all in, but you gotta believe, and that's why I think a lot of companies end. But that's why I think that statement is so powerful. What is your ambition? Where do you want to go? How big do you want to go?
Well, and this is where I think that there's confusion about what sales and marketing really is. Sales and marketing is one team that's driving revenue, driving awareness, driving conversations. It's just different approaches to it.
Yes.
My first job, when I went door-to-door sales, the door-to-door sales company was known as a sales and marketing company. And I remember thinking to myself, this is just sales. This isn't marketing. This is just sales. And then I'm like, no, wait, you know what? Looking back, no, it is marketing. I'm going in and I'm creating a relationship. I'm creating education with a prospect. I'm showing them how they can save money and time by using this service. Like I'm marketing this product and this service, and then, I just might actually get a sale out of it today, but it went hand in hand. And I don't think people realize, that. And I think the reason why people are more skewed to sales is because it's a little bit easier to attribute revenue, and it's a little bit faster to see revenue for the most part. Revenue from marketing takes a little more time, but it's that flywheel that when you get it going, like it works tremendously better. And I'll tell you this, I've sold for several organizations, and the ones that had great marketing, the ones that had a brand, the ones that had, market awareness, people knew who they were and what they did, way easier sell. Way easier
right?
Sell.
Makes sense. And that's what I was going to say. Great marketing makes sales so much easier. When you have a brand that is well known, that you can believe in, the Harley, the Apple, like Simon Sinek talks about with Apple. I know he's a big Apple guy, but you never see a dirty MacBook. They're cleaning it, they're polishing it. You never see somebody cover that Mac sticker. It's almost like they want it to highlight and glow. The Mac symbol on the back is like, look at me. And that's but it's because of their branding, and what they've been able to do is unbelievable.
And think about what some companies will do. Let's say a company goes out and gets some venture capital money. They get a couple $1 million in a seed round or something like that. And they go out and they invest in 10 sales guys that cost, $8,000 a month plus commissions. All right. So they're investing $80,000 to $100,000 a month on sales guys, but then they balk when they need to spend $15,000 or $20,000 a month on marketing.
Exactly.
It's like you don't understand the value of this. You don't understand the value of what you're going to create with marketing that's going to actually make your sales guys more effective. Because I guarantee, if you got 8 to 10 sales guys, there's 2 of them that aren't cutting it. They're not doing it, right? You'd be better off using those resources to build out your marketing, build out your SEO, build out your website, build out your content, your social media, your video presence, whatever you're going to do, podcasts, whatever you're going to do. It's a better spend to do that because you're helping your sales guys out. And that's the hard part, is that marketing, sometimes it's hard because direct attribution is so difficult in marketing. How did somebody actually come to your business? Well, it might have been the website. It might have been a blog. It might have been a podcast that they saw that you were on. It might have been something else. I'll tell you what it was. It was all of those things
all of it.
that led to it.
Exactly.
All right. And pushed them in that direction and made it so much easier for your person to sell, because now they have education. They have higher level of buyer's intent. Like, it just makes sense. But yet some companies don't see the value. They'd rather just go hire 10 sales guys and try to get revenue that way. Instead of actually building a machine that will bring people to you and make sales much, much easier and much, much faster. But it takes time. It takes 6, 12, 18 months to really build that out. And some businesses are just so short-sighted, they just don't see that.
Yes. I'm glad you said that. So Les Brown, he said something so powerful, and I hope everybody watching this gets this, especially, anybody younger watching this that's doing their or trying to do their own thing. You probably don't know pre-internet and all of this, but like back in the day, I mean, like he says, especially he's an older guy. He said back in the day, in his time, if you created the next best mousetrap, like you have something. But now marketing is so powerful. You can get people to stand outside of your door and create huge lines for a phone they've never even seen or touched before.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
never touched it. They don't know. It's just marketing. It's just
Yeah.
videos, ads blasting in their face. And now you got lines everywhere. But
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
comes down to
And
that.
again, that's the value of marketing. And it's such a long-term play. But if you want to win long-term, man, investing in your brand, investing in educating your audience, and listening to them and talking about how you can, enhance their life, enhance their products, whatever it is, that just increases the buyer's intent and speeds up the sales process. And again, it baffles my mind that people don't understand the value of brand. I'll go back to this. In Proverbs, it says that your name is worth more than silver and gold. And if you think about it, that's what a brand is. It's your reputation. It's your name. It's what you
It's
stand
everything.
for, right? And that's worth more than your revenue. Like I said, your brand is worth more than your revenue. Do something to your brand and see what happens to your revenue.
Oh, I love it. Well, we are just at time. So, and that went fast, man. That was so fast.
Always
I could sit
does.
here and talk to you forever about this stuff. Like, this is amazing. Thank you. I know you're on the road. You're busy doing a million things right now. So thank you for filling in for Chris and really just making this possible. And Ruth, for everybody and everybody at the beta.
Well,
Again, guys.
let me say this.
Go ahead.
This is one of those things that you don't even realize is going to happen when you start your company or what you're doing. And I'm so excited to see what else comes out of beta, of what we started, that I can't even imagine right now. This is one of those things, and I love that you and Chris are doing it. So kudos to you guys on the show. The audience engagement is amazing. I'm jealous. So it's been awesome to see that. So many great people in the audience. Thanks for participating.
Thank you to everybody in the
commenting.
audience. Seriously. Thank you guys. And we are going to take us out with a quote. I think it was requested from Chris. I liked it. Sales Chatter used to end the shows with a quote, so we'll bring it here. Quote I have for you guys is Tony Robbins. Again, I'm dropping all of these amazing people. Me and Trey both. We talked pre-green in the green room about just these amazing people and all the information, how smart they are and the wisdom that they share. And that's the reason me and Chris wanted to do this show. Besides sharing our own journeys and sharing Trey's, it's really just to share whatever failures, lessons, wins that we go through to help anybody else wanting to take that journey as well. So this is the quote, Tony Robbins: no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. Just keep trying, everybody.
Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't quit. That's great. That's a great quote. Thanks, DJ.
Thank you, everybody.